Welcome back, and be afraid. The British movie brand synonymous with horror is back from the dead, or at least from 30 years of virtual silence. Hammer Films releasing its new vampire film Let Me In Britain tomorrow. And this week it's been shooting The Woman in Black, starring Daniel Radcliffe. In its heyday, it produced groundbreaking films, but does Hammer horror fit today's climate? Stephanie West's been finding out.
He's been playing a boy wizard for more than a decade now, but in something of a coup for the newly risen Hammer Films, Daniel Radcliffe's been lured over to their dark side. Now 21, his first role since wrapping the very last Harry Potter movies is this Hammer production of The Woman in Black.
Background action! Action!
Here he is just this week, taking the starring role of solicitor Arthur Kipps in a movie version of a ghost story which has been running as a play in the West End and internationally for 21 years now. And so Hammer is back making films on British soil for the first time in 3 decades, with one of the most sought-after actors of the moment. But it knows it's coming back in a more sophisticated market, and it will need global appeal.
It's a global business now. I don't think you can survive in the industry by just having films that are released in the UK. I mean, there is a love affair with Hammer in the UK, and in a sense, you know, that's one of the easier things, if you like. I think the message for me is to get Hammer known in the States. I think that's important.
Which is why, as they shoot The Woman in Black in the UK, the first movie actually released under the new Hammer banner is one they made in America. The vampire film, Let Me In, is a remake of the highly praised Swedish art house picture, but the new Hammer version's been almost universally praised. The Hollywood Reporter called it one of the year's most powerful thrillers, and it's also won accolades from horror writer Stephen King, who deemed it the best American horror film of the last 20 years, and called it a genre-busting triumph.
Would you still like me? Even if I wasn't a girl? What do you mean?
About a lonely boy who unwittingly befriends a vampire. To make it, they turn to the director of the highly successful film Cloverfield. Matt Reeves says he grew up watching Hammer films and jumped at the chance to reinvigorate the name.
What really appealed to me about this was that while it was in the tradition of Hammer, it's a vampire tale, it's quite modern, and it is restrained and very, very naturalistic. It reminded me a bit, you know, in terms of what we were trying to do, of sort of some of the American horror of like the 70s and 80s, like The Exorcist or The Shining, which, you know, were less stylized in a way.
Founded in the 30s, synonymous with horror since the 50s, at one time Hammer led the field, ably assisted by the likes of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. The entire back catalogue has transferred to the new owners, British producers with finance from a Dutch consortium. But they know there's a reason Hammer has lain dormant since the 80s. It's stopped being cutting edge, and they don't plan to make films like they used to. But lovers of this genre say for Hammer to have impact again, it must innovate.
If you look at the films from the late 50s, particularly if you look at the reviews they got, they were genuinely like shocking and transgressive and exciting and titillating and horrifying. I think if Hammer is going to mean anything, they're probably going to rely on stories and characters and suspense and get interesting filmmakers, because that's the only real way to stand out of the pack.
But they are planning to revisit some of their old stories, Quatermass and Dracula, but not the Snorkel, I'm reliably informed. This will remain in the archives.
Fantastic. That's it. We're back tomorrow, 7 till then, from Samira and from me. That is Channel 4 News. Have a very good evening.